The first part of the building is 58 square meter.
Maybe it is. You take it. I got his official.
This is a parking plan review. And these are those, I don't see dimensions.
So here's this one that he had marked up, but it's again, pretty much needs. So he's called that 6 feet from the back of these parking spots to the edge of the driveway. And 18 feet from one parking spot to the other parking spot.
Well, this is 18 feet from here to here.
So he's building a 1.5 story studio apartment instead of a garage? Okay, because it says garage, okay, I get it.
Oh, okay, I didn't.
I'm like,
I missed
okay.
last week's meeting, or last month's meeting.
This has been going on.
Right, and I just,
Forever.
it just,
Yeah.
it just never occurred to me that he was, when we were talking about the garage relocation, I just thought it was the garage relocation, not a new building.
So what,
Purpose, okay.
if you could review just quickly, the house stays. The garage has already been raised.
And the
garage has been
building,
removed and the forms are in place for its new location.
Which will be a studio apartment.
Studio.
1.5 story studio.
Correct. They are rebuilding it as it in the same shape that it was, but it will be just a single level of use.
Yeah, okay, okay.
Oh, okay,
Therefore, there's no garage parking,
correct,
thus you need the 5
correct.
space.
Yeah, that's why I was like, right.
There wasn't garage parking before either. There were 3 parking spots existing for the current use as a 4 with 6 bedrooms. Now it's gonna have 1 more bedroom. 7 spaces. And he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, but he's received a variance. And
Good,
so
okay,
I went over it with him on site and it's agreed that he needs buffering in this location and in this location.
which are those that, I'm looking at them in that, on my phone.
Yep.
It's-
So
Go to
he's
8.
been granted a variance to only have 6 parking.
That's correct.
To have some kind of buffer
With fence.
fence.
There's already an existing fence here and the pickets need to be tightened up on it.
Okay.
And in this area, there's shrubbery, but it's something deciduous, so a piece of fence would need to be here. So for those fences, you would have to go to H.
Suggest that each part, I'd like to come back with dimensions written on here and.
Dimensions beyond these, just so I'm clear on what.
Between the back of these, the pull-in parking spaces and the parallel, is that what you're looking at?
So this is 18, and then this is additional 1, which so it's there's.
Did you get the dimension in yours?
That only has a
Yeah,
20.
that's good.
Yeah, these are.
I'm not seeing the, and then he has the
Yeah,
parking
minimum.
space in the front, so does he need a
Parking
variance?
spaces, so it's a fine.
Parking spot in the front yard setback can be used, but it can't be counted towards parking.
Got it, okay.
Sorry.
This office space 1 foot from the building.
The proposed,
Right.
the dimensions on this plan, they're like the same.
We would have to use a scale. It's more than 1 foot based on where the surveyor drew the 5 foot setback line,
Right.
but still it's relatively close. Presumably, whoever had that spot would ideally be occupants of that.
I'm trying to visualize if there's space for a car to
pull out,
pull out.
yeah.
Um,
I think that there is, but that's just conjecture based on the way my parking spaces are behind my house. So we're not necessarily. Really predates.
There might be space for you to do that, not for me.
Depends on the car. My tenants with the big SUVs have issues. Get a little zippy car.
Richard, can you push that one down, please? See.
So is the issue primarily just the clarity of the dimensioning on the plans? Would it be of any use to get the
To-
property owner on the phone with
To
us?
ensure that there is enough space for the cars pulling those in to back out.
Right.
Without hitting that sixth car.
Yeah.
If you think he would have that response, I don't know, Gene, do you think we need it on paper? Do you think we need the dimensions on paper, or is Swatling's word enough? Or,
Well, I'd like them on paper, even if we write them in and approve them as
so we can write it on the plan, okay?
Yeah.
So maybe it does make sense to get one call.
Yeah.
Yeah, so are these two garages here on a different parcel?
Yes,
There's a property line, right?
Okay, thanks. The little Jaffa is the property.
yeah, one is 60 Susquehanna, or is it 58? No,
58 is Michael's.
Right, so 60 Susquehanna is the blue house in the corner.
Yeah,
That's their barn, and then the other one belongs to the guy next door.
And the existing parking in the front, which is on Susquehanna, cannot be counted as correct.
It can't be counted in his parking plan, but it can be used.
yeah, but the ZBA said it can't be used.
Yep.
So
Well, the ZBA said he could
he goes.
use one less.
Yeah.
So the ZBA is not empowered to include that parking spot in his
Right.
parking plan.
In my experience, they're not all gonna be used.
And that was the argument of the property owner, was that was the reason he purchased, was developing the property into a unit property was due to its proximity to the hospital and its walkability approach.
Yeah.
Where,
Actually,
what
we're
section
gonna need this.
the parking, supplementary parking
It's,
regulations?
Oh, that's not-
Oh, there we are.
300
Next, turn the page, 330.
Yeah.
and standards are 300.
36. It's 336 is what we're,
Describes, adequate turnaround area to complete the use without going into a public street.
one of the things we've gotten hung up in the past is the requirement, I think the village, when you have so many parking spaces, wants to be people to be able to turn around and drive out front ways to the streets, not back into the street, which is much more dangerous.
Yep.
Or stuff, okay.
I don't know that it's possible to, in many of these driveways to have that kind of a turnaround.
So that's one of what
I don't
is
think we
the
require it,
appropriate turnaround space in this plan?
but there isn't in any of these single family home driveways.
To turn around in the backyard?
We back in order to pull out.
Correct.
Yeah, but I mean, a single family home is, this is.
This was
parking lot.
this was built as a single family home.
Yeah, but that's sort of exempt, because you only need two parking, it's only when you get over so many.
I'm just
parking
saying that you won't have, when we're having these houses converted to apartments, which we badly need, because.
Right, but that doesn't mean you ignore the law.
But I don't, but so you're saying that they need a hardscape the whole backyard, so there's no.
It's not the law
It's not
says
a law.
when practical, which means it's not required, it's
Okay,
preferable.
that's why I just want to review that, because there was a house on Beaver Street that we gave, that one converted into from 2 units to 4 units, and we had all this hassle about turnaround spaces and stuff. And sometimes it's just this, that requirement does what you're saying, prohibits the use of conversion of properties.
But Gene is saying that it's not required, the law says when practical. It's not practical in a historic village in many cases.
It's 300-36A5.
35.
Where practical.
36A5.
It's worth noting that the property had 3 spaces. It only has 1 more unit, and it has 3 more spaces than it did before.
Yeah.
It only has 1 more sleeping unit than it did before, but it has 3 more spaces than it did before, bringing it as, he's trying to bring it as close to code as possible.
Which I think the code should be.
And in practicality,
There'll be 1 car per.
is since there's a,
He expects them to be mostly empty spots.
yeah, since there's a
And he's not,
space here that is only unofficially used.
In the front.
Or something.
it's official, yeah.
But I mean, it's a bigger issue of, should we review the parking requirements per bedroom? Which I think is silly, to require 2 cars per, or a 2-bedroom apartment when 1 bedroom is used as a study.
Well,
I
but
mean, it's
that's,
ridiculous.
it might be used as a study now, it might.
But it's still silly these days, you know, 1 car per apartment, and, you know, that way, it just encourages more cars on the road, and you don't need it.
Well,
I mean, I'm just looking at the usage of the apartments, there's 7 apartments in my driveway. 1 car per person, they never move. I mean, 1 car per unit, and they never move. We could have more, but
yeah,
they never move, people don't use them. They only have 1 car per apartment, even though they're couples living there. So it's not a given that people are 2-car families, and we have to plan for 2-car families. But people.
I'm not exactly following that. If you have a 1-bedroom apartment, it's 1 car. If you have a 2-bedroom apartment,
It's supposed to be 2 cars.
Where in practice, many of these 2-bedroom apartments will probably be 1 bedroom for a couple and an office space or a
Yeah.
flex space or a child's.
They
space.
don't, generally, if you have a 2-bedroom apartment, you don't have the kids, you don't have 2 cars. It's too
Right.
small, yeah.
well, we may have different experience.
I'm just looking at all the apartments that I know of, and the parking lots. are
Yeah,
full.
okay.
He
We
has-
have more parking than we need in this.
I was my garage for storage, and that's the second parking space.
It becomes a visitor's, you know, but I mean, it's just, it becomes visitor parking or whatever, but. I'm not sure a turnaround is required in a space like this.
No, I don't think so either. I mean,
Why are we, it seems to me that these cars could
The ones
go
closest.
to the driveway and turn around in the driveway before they I don't see any other way that they're.
It's possible. The one tucked furthest in there
This one,
looks like it would be difficult to find space to move, but
The one in the back corner,
yeah.
yeah.
And I guess another point is that he's not going to be using, it doesn't have anything to do with turnaround ability, but he's just going to be using gravel back there. He's not increasing the amount of impervious.
Hardscape, yeah.
Hardscape, yeah.
I've also found that my tenants who don't like parking in the back just park on the street during the day. So often my back parking area is empty, they're just parking on the street. So people find it, park the way they want to park.
I was just like this to show dimensions.
The space that isn't designated parking, so that you can determine turnaround. Is that what you mean?
Just so,
He's got a dimension there that doesn't add up,
yeah,
but other than clarity of that,
and also to write in what the buffering material is gonna be,
Fence.
because I think fence
Yeah.
and shrubbery. So, I mean, you can write it in, he tells us,
I walked through it with him and I would be glad to write it in.
That's fine.
Is really all that's required.
Take a clean one of these and maybe we can vote on that.
What about on the original?
Yeah,
Originals is fine.
Yeah. If you want to pass it to Jackson. I see that house occupied, it's been empty for a while. Years. Let's see that.
Back for revision.
But we might be-
Yeah.
we have everything on there.
Caption, is the house occupied?
No,
It's empty now.
there's the whole front porch has been covered with appliances for the last 6 months.
yeah, the
I
door,
drive by there every day, don't you?
it's been empty for years, years. There was actually some group having a party on the porch on induction weekend, I thought they were just people who were camping out.
You know, the house, he has to use the footprint or what of this foundation? It's a foundation now, you say there's.
So the forms are there for a new foundation. For that.
Because he moved it 9 feet to the right. You could have pulled in, you know,
He's probably dealing with his water drain or something, you know, you never know.
He took it down to move it outside of the side yard setback in order to be as a good neighbor move and to give more space around the house for maintenance and construction.
But
So
he's
it
not,
was on- it was
the
9 feet
foundation
to
has
the right
been
before.
poured, he's-
and can.
the foundation has been poured, he's not going to be moving at this point.
Yeah, it would have been
Well,
so much better if he centered the,
we did
on the
review,
property.
we did review that back when he was planning it, didn't we?
Oh, I see what you mean, 9 feet to the right.
and then he can just pull right in the setback between the two, well,
Right.
new one and the, across the fence there. And then there's,
But I don't think we can require him to do that now, he's already poured the foundation.
Jackson, the surface is gonna be gravel.
Gravel surface, yeah.
Put that in, because that takes care of the big thing.
just do this way, this could pull in.
So any additional surfaces will be gravel, there's chunks of old asphalt and such back there, so. I'm gonna write here, additional
Went ahead and
parking
poured the
spaces
foundation.
to be, gravel. I'm a little bit tired of seeing this bounce around my desk.
I know, get this going.
So there
I
will
wanna
be-
see it moving, so I wanna see it occupied.
So we'll be increasing by 5 units. The
No.
the available in the,
No, it was already apartments. It
well, right,
had-
there was 4 units. And it's not occupied now.
And we're gonna get one more
We're
unit,
adding 1, so there'll be 5.
right, we're not increasing by 5 units. I thought you meant
It's
we were
increasing
adding
by
5.
one.
Right, but what I mean is once it's available.
Then we will have 5 new units in the village, yes, that have to be there for the past at least 5 years. Which would be great.
Anybody have any objections you want to discuss before we vote?
No, I think it's a little.
I'll move that.
I move to approve the parking plan with the additional locations that Jackson added after his on-site inspection.
Regarding fencing,
Fencing.
regarding buffers and
Yes,
drainage.
yes.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any votes over there?
Are you an alternate?
Yes, just an alternate. Yeah, you vote today,
Oh, yeah.
because there are only 4 regular members.
So you're the 5th, you.
Good vote. And Richard?
I guess what we're looking at is not just the parking spaces seem to be drawn bigger than they would be in scale. See, if a car,
Without knowing them.
if a vehicle is filling these parking spaces, these people here, and if something was parking, you know what's gonna happen? The person parking in this single spot's gonna, after that, in reality, end up parking out in front of the house.
Which if they're allowed to use it.
And so there will be plenty of space to turn around for everybody.
It's
That's
perfectly
what's
possible.
gonna be the,
Or they're not even gonna have a car here, so they may not even have a car.
well, yeah, but I mean, that's, you know, okay.
Okay, so it's unanimous.
You know, this is, you can't count this, anybody who needs to park here, they're gonna have to park.
They're gonna park on this, the people who have the front door are gonna park on the street, you know, it's just like.
Yeah.
That's why I feel like the parking.
Yeah, that's the.
Residential apartments because.
Yeah, this person's gonna have to park. Well, they're gonna be living in this house, so it's just a couple of different.
Jackson, who is precision?
That's Mike Swatling.
That,
I think he's Kingfisher.
this is the also another stop.
He's a roofer.
It's just.
Precision is
No,
relatively
but he's
new,
also
so
doing remodeling, it says, the sign says.
What's that? Is that like
No, Mike is Kingfisher, I thought it was.
Kingfisher, right?
he came in to present on another property, I don't recall which one it was, but sharp young guy, primarily.
I've known Michael since he was 14.
I mean, precision, yeah.
Oh, precision.
They-
I'm totally know that too.
Oh,
People really amazingly young.
Students.
oh,
Oh, yeah, I've worked with Tom a whole lot,
you
Oh,
know, he was a
which
kid.
is Mike's uncle.
What?
I guess I was hoping that Josh would be here. I know he's a busy person. It's possible that it's slipped his attention.
Do you wanna text him
Oh,
or?
I see, that's a.
Can you please have the hard copy of this?
But what I have is digital. And so if that is, we have not received a large copy of this.
Okay,
Um,
do you know what on here are the red boxes?
Yes, so the initial plan on this property was to use pavers that grass would grow through in the parking spaces themselves. And after looking at their plan for snow removal and drainage on the property and maintaining the property, they decided that asphalt would meet the needs of the property much better as far as being able to slope the surfaces to the drains, as well as being able to mow, et cetera. Because you've got grass growing up underneath cars, what do? You wait until everybody's gone to mow the parking lot? So they admitted that it was, they started off with the best intentions. Yep.
And I,
Whatever.
it's really paper removal.
Right, they would just be scraping it all up. And so as this body approved the parking plan, the site plan, HPARB already looked at it and agreed with their reasoning and approved
And where are the
changes
drains?
in materials.
Because where are the drains indicated? It's just, I don't know what the water runoff right now is there, because it's all gravel or dirt. And so it would be adding a lot of, it's just the parking spaces that are being added.
But it's just the parking
Oh, there
spaces.
you are.
Here he is.
Ask the question, the man of the hour.
One hot seat for you, good sir.
Right. Did you notice new paint color?
Yeah.
That's what it is, it's all. That's why the chairs are done.
And the lights have changed.
The lights have changed. There's been a fair bit of spackle work and stuff.
Yeah.
It's shaping up.
The lights are a big improvement over the road.
Yes, they mirror the library lights.
Yeah. Great, I didn't realize this one. I figured I'd have to wait a while.
Nope,
So,
nope, it's a quiet time of year.
okay,
So Jackson was presenting.
I was doing my best Josh
all right.
impression.
Well, I don't know if you guys have been there in a while or wandered through or.
Well, there is a fence not allowing us to walk around yet.
All right, well, the fence is down in the back.
Oh, in the back, okay.
In the back. There's been a lot of grading, and that's primarily where this change is. So originally, we had the grand idea to do grass hatch pavers in the parking areas. we started moving forward with that in the past couple months to get subs in to actually install them all. And they brought up a lot of concerns that made us kind of rethink that entire concept. I think it was a neat idea, but they said, well, for starters, they said the grass isn't going to grow when you, on wedding venues where it's used like once a week, they're great. Residential driveways, they're kind of handy because you can do maintenance and move the car, or you've got, 5 days when there's no cars. And so it kind of works. But in our situation where we're going to have cars parked on it and sort of regular, but we don't have any control over it, sort of time schedule, we can't really do the maintenance on the grass pavers. And apparently also walking on them in high heels is,
Stinks,
yes.
but I don't recommend high heels for anybody, so.
So, but it was just, they raised enough things that we thought, okay, grass pavers, bad idea. So then we were thinking, well, do we just switch to regular pavers? But when we look at like specifically sort of like these handicapped areas
Mhm.
and just even, shoveling and then salting, pavers don't like salting because it thaws the underlayment underneath, which allows them to then heave.
Your bubble, yeah.
And so we're like, well, we really want to salt the area because the last thing we want is people slipping and sliding. And so it brought us full circle back to asphalt. Effective, but not necessarily as pleasing to the eye as maybe the grass patch pavers, but we think it is probably the safest and wisest option for a parking area. And so that's what we're here asking is if we can switch the pavers to asphalt.
Where are the drains on and the road is the road's not being paved, right? Or is it being paved?
We are paving from here all the way through and all the way through.
Okay,
So that's already happening.
right, so where are the drains? I'm just thinking of the runoff.
Yeah, so with the runoff, we've got catch basin here,
Yeah,
and then we've added a catch basin here, and we've sculpted sort of the entire flow of this area to catch all the Pine Boulevard water, because it as we've been there the past
noticed,
year,
yeah,
we see where the water goes.
yeah,
It all goes into this backyard here.
right.
So we've added catch basins here to catch probably the bulk of the Pine Boulevard runoff. Some of it will go to this catch basin, but the majority is going to go to this one here.
Okay,
And then we've shifted this catch basin right over to here, which is our actual low spot.
okay.
It works great for us. It's also going to be a huge benefit to the Clansons here
Mhm.
because it allows them to drain their entire backyard to the same catch basin.
Yeah.
We've also got a catch basin over here. We eliminated this catch basin because it's at the high point of the asphalt. And so
Well, but does it, so the asphalt stops there?
the asphalt stops here.
Okay, got it.
And we've raised our grade. The dead ends were, we wanted to make sure that we don't have, if any plowing, the village plows
Yeah.
this. I don't know which direction they're gonna plow it, but there's a big tree
Yes.
right about here, which will effectively stop the pushing of the snow past there. And so we've got asphalt kind of right up to that as our high point, so that any snow melt here is not gonna head this way. There's a retaining wall here,
Okay.
but it'll kind of head back, and we've added a catch basin here,
Mhm.
which sculpts sort of this whole gamut there. And then we've got a catch basin right about here,
Okay.
which catches, we ended up cutting this grade down a bit, so there's a lot more gradual. It used to kind of swoop up,
Yeah.
but now it kind of smooths down. And this catch basin, we shifted it off center here so that we can catch sort of this whole section here.
Okay.
Josh, is the village plowing from Chestnut to Pine?
No, so this is private, and I'm anticipating that we will be plowing that. It may be easier for the village
Eventually.
to sweep straight through, but we're not asking them to. We don't mind if they do, but we're planning to hire snow
Yeah.
service to take care of all of
Right.
that. But if I was the one plowing, I would prefer to run all the way
But
through.
this isn't considered a through street.
Nope.
No.
We don't.
This, we actually, we have to put a sign here that says private driveway, just so that we don't get a lot of through traffic, just for the neighbor's sake.
Yeah,
So it's similar to Cooper Park,
yeah.
Mhm.
you know, if you
Yeah.
notice those gates get closed once a year. Everyone drives through the rest of the year, but it is private.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
Okay.
so
And you should close it off once a year also, so you don't have an adverse possession.
yeah,
Right.
we plan to probably New Year's Eve, you know.
Right. Best, yeah,
There,
that's
you
the
know,
smartest.
something like that, you know.
Induction weekend.
Yeah.
Is another good one too, yeah.
Right, something like that. We
Yeah.
will not do big iron gates though.
Where is the property line that you conveyed some land from the one lot to the lot with apartment?
It hatches right around these parking spots.
Okay,
I may have another plan that actually shows that, but it essentially just grabs these parking spots and shifts them to
okay.
that.
Now, I know there's no conflicts now between the owners of those properties. But I'm thinking we discussed snow plowing early on, and that one of the places to put all that snow was up the street where that, you said there's a big tree there. In other words, where
That's what
are
he
you
was
gonna
just
put all the
talking about.
snow
Yeah,
from the,
I think that a lot of the snow is gonna go back into here, which is graded to drain to this
Well,
catch basin there.
that's what I'm saying, that village law says you're not supposed to dump your snow on a neighbor's property. And
Right.
your plan is to dump the snow on another plot, but it's owned by the same
It's owned by the
people.
same people.
But if it was ever sold in the future,
then the snow plan would have to change.
what's
Yeah.
that?
Then the snow
So-
plan would have to change, yeah.
So over this past winter, I plowed.
Okay,
And I plowed a much larger area than we've got set aside. I plowed
yeah,
pretty much
yeah.
from here back.
Okay.
I plowed it all to here. And
Okay.
it didn't end up being we didn't have an unusually heavy snowfall this winter, but we had enough snow and I don't know, it didn't end up being that large of a pile. And so I wouldn't be surprised. Now, I didn't grab
That's-
all that snow.
Yeah.
I would usually just drop my plow here where the village stopped and then sweep up through and then sweep all of this back to here. And it really, that's what I think, that's where I think the snow will end. But there is a massive empty lot that if we find is necessary.
If we have a 4-foot dump or something like that, yeah.
That's what you said.
A 4-foot, if we had a 4-foot dump like we have every 10 years.
Then you end up usually trucking the snow.
Right.
It's kind of like, it's not as bad as Old School Court, but Old School Court, I believe, most of their snow gets trucked out.
Really? Okay. I was wondering about that.
Yeah, on a regular basis,
Walking
it's
my dog.
trucked.
Yeah, okay.
So,
You go down to the yellow lot or into the yellow lot, there's usually a big pile of snow.
Yeah.
that's where my kids and I hang out in the winter. We built some forts there.
It's right nearby.
Yeah.
Okay,
So,
I'm just thinking about, the future, what'll happen, but I'm also,
yeah,
I would say the probability of the present owner selling off that to some stranger is very low,
it's very low.
but everybody has a price,
Right.
but
Give me $5 million for that lot.
yeah,
I would probably
you'll
sell
sell
it.
it, yeah, exactly.
So,
Okay.
Now,
Now, another question, the street is also going to be blacktop, right, or paved?
yeah, so all of that was already asphalt.
Asphalt, yeah, proper term, asphalt. The parking lot's gonna be asphalt. What, will there be any distinguishing edge between the parking area and the street? Or is it just paint, or what? In other words,
The parking areas are lined, but it's a smooth transition between parking areas and street. Like for instance,
there's no curve of any kind or anything
Yeah.
between the street and that, even if, it just sticks up a half an inch or
no,
whatever.
because you pull right into the spots.
yeah, like for instance, down here, you've got the line where the village owns, and then there was a section here, there was a 6-foot section that was already paved.
Yeah,
Because we pushed the parking spots in so that the turning radius allowed us to
right,
back out and not cross over onto the ends parking lot.
right.
And so there'll be no differentiation between pavers and like what would have been pavers and the new asphalt. You'll have the parking lines, which will kind of clearly, signify that it is.
That's normal.
It's much easier when people are parking to know whether they're off the street or not, you know, that they
No.
turn on.
I mean, double take us
back.
Nobody, I mean,
It's not
it's,
common.
Well.
I mean,
if they're
I'm just thinking
sticking
about
out,
all the apartment complexes in Virginia that I used to visit, and none of them had
If they
those.
don't have.
No,
They don't have stop.
no, they have roads that go through and then you just turn into the parking spots that you can find, but there's no delineation. No physical delineation.
Don't you believe in trying to build a better mousetrap? Come on.
No, I think we can overthink things.
Sure, but not on this man's dime.
Yeah, I mean, I think we can way overthink things when, you know, sometimes it's just a very simple
Well,
solution.
who was the person who parks that 25-foot long pickup truck in front of the Hall of Fame and sticks out into Main Street by 5 feet? And everybody has to drive out around and it's really hard because there's a crosswalk sign right there.
But it doesn't matter, even if there was differentiation, he'd still be hanging over it.
Still be sticking out.
So, I mean, it
Almost
doesn't
touching the
matter,
post
it's a
office.
physical differentiation, he'd still be.
That is a problem though, but it's a different problem.
What's that? It's
definitely a
a
problem. It's a
different
different problem.
problem because we shortened the parking spaces.
But that's not what we're talking about here.
No, but I'm talking about somebody using those spots and sticking out into the street by 2
that's-
feet
they would
because
still
they
be
don't
able to
pull
do it.
right up.
But unless we put
Then they get clipped and then they learn their lesson.
Yeah, or somebody complains and we make the tenant aware.
Yeah,
I'm sorry?
You know, if that becomes an issue, you know.
believe me, they'll hear about it from their neighbors.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and then we'll talk.
But
to
that's
the
not
tenant
our
and things like that.
responsibility, the parking spaces are the correct length for village law, it complies.
You know, if somebody had a long vehicle, you know, these are much better spots because we have a lot of depth and you could, you know, take your truck or something
So,
forward.
but I mean, if, as long as it complies with the village law, as it's currently written, that's what we are working with.
You need 18 feet, right?
Yeah, that's what he has. Might have
And
to
there
go
are a
forward.
lot of vehicles longer than that.
No,
Domestic, what I mean is that's supposed to bringing your flatbed home from work.
I'm not actually sure how long my truck is.
but
We'll
do you
go
think-
out and measure it, Jack.
I don't know, I fit in regular parking spots.
Yeah,
I can go to the mall and I can make the turns and get into.
I think
Not with a plow on, but-
even wheelchair accessible vans with, you know, automated elevators or ramps
Yeah.
would fit in those spots. So I think it's a little, I think the plan is good the way it is.
You get to the more commercial pickup trucks with like 10-foot beds, which are like special order and, you know, things like that, they don't fit in these parking spots. But they don't fit in Main Street parking spots
Yeah.
either, as you can see.
So. Well, I would make a motion to accept the field change as presented.
I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Alright,
Hopeful date is January 1st, but we are. January 1st. When it comes to things like countertop templating, things like that, like the upstairs is actually just kind of, they templated countertops today, so. But, downstairs, next countertop template date is like November 15th, and we're not sure what will install.
And then
But it's over
Yeah.
here, so it's kind of.
Well, that's good, though. That's good.
We can't have an open house until the board has permission. We were hoping to host the right of and really, which we think you'll bring strangers to a building that has those. You can bring them like that. Oh, okay. Insurance. If we yeah. We've started the leasing process. And so I think half the units are. Yeah, process. Thank you, progress. It's a little hard, we have some reference, but it's hard. Haven't seen units, what am I writing, what am I paying for? Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
All right.
Email, proposed change. The full occupancy.
Well, not allowed to sell alcohol, allowed to.
Well, you can't,
I know, I know exactly. No, I know also.
yeah, but
But also.
yeah, we get
No,
cancel.
what's that?
Cancel blue.
Blue is also major.
Wait, when I was a kid, trying to go in the hall, I went to the yeah, be a kid.
Because you were gonna sniff it.
That's exactly right.
Okay.
You know, because they usually run a paper bag.
Well, okay, so we cancel. I think it makes common sense.
But the background of this was initially started with the discussion of time, place, and manner for homeless.
Yeah.
And discussing, eliminating residential areas. We thought of this. It made sense to add all other age restricted. And just not limited, so everything that's age restricted is to people.
Yes, and I think that's required by your state law. Can't see what industry.
Yes.
It's still allow growing in this,
Right.
selling it outside.
Mhm.
It's a whole occupation.
Is that?
It's a whole occupation.
Growing stuff.
In the village, if we allow farming in our village.
Yeah.
It'll be growing a certain number.
For personal use, as opposed to selling as a home occupation, and that's the, yeah.
I think when somebody commercial sales, many groups. Better. More than likely preclude any degree of profitability. Cannabis in the village or.
Yes.
What room are you planning to grow in?
Make a motion for this, recommendations to the board of trustees.
I'll say.
I move that.
And I'll second the motion.
All in favor? Yes. Yes. All of the. Your copies. I know you see. That's what you
Yeah.
Next, our last meeting. 20 comments, questions, suggestions.
I wasn't here last week.
Okay. So, but September 20th, Is that? Okay. One favor.
Aye.
So for action. And we had 7 minutes that we put off to us. That wasn't distributed. We'll do it next. Next week. Here is the minutes from June 24th. We'll do that at the next meeting.
I'll make sure, I'll get those out soon.
Okay, that might be. No, it's the 21st. No, that's a Monday.
Those days are earlier.
Oh, it's the 10th to the 14th, so it's the 15th. It might be in a file. Oh, it's not. It's very possible.
So it's the 15th.
Keep going on, don't we?
Going to adjourn at 5:24.
Congratulations.